Inside my heart, my wife and I have been married for 15 years. We have no kids. We are both in our early 50s. I have been the breadwinner in the home up until this past year when I retired early to escape retaliatory behavior for reporting workplace violence. My wife works part-time, with no benefits. My wife is the youngest in her family. Her two older sisters have lived on the dole off their father, who lets them live in a house he owns for free. They do not work. The two older sisters are in poor health, extreme obesity which has triggered other health problems. One sister is single mother of young teenage boy. The two older sisters have a strong influence on my wife. It seems to me that my wife is afraid of one of the sisters, even though the sisters live far away in another state. The father is a great person and is doing pretty well for his age. The two sisters seem to complain constantly about the father, and yet he has supported them for their entire adult life. Maybe I am seeing a pattern here. Last year my wife went to go help clean up her father's home for 2 months. This caused a lot of grief in our marriage. On the one hand, I see how she is close to her family, and she wants to help. On the other hand, I feel that our marriage should come first. I feel guilty or selfish bringing this up though. Each year my wife spends at least 2 weeks out with her sisters. What bothers me is that she is more excited, more focused on those trips than she is at home. It feels like she is a housemate, roommate, than more of a wife. We have discussed these frequent trips of hers and how they affect our marriage, and yet each year they continue to happen. My wife knows how upset I get about them, and yet nothing changes. I am realizing that it will never change. My wife says she likes her life here with me. We live in a nice area, in a nice home, that I bought before marriage, with nice pets. It all seems so nice to her. What is missing though is that I feel like I do have a true life partner, that I am just a convenience for her. This holiday season her nephew was scheduled to have a surgery before Christmas. My wife told me she wanted to go help her sister and nephew with the surgery. I fully supported that idea and even suggested it to her first, and that she could also spend some time with her dad. This all seemed fine since my wife would be gone the week before Christmas and come back to be with me on Christmas. Sounded great, however, my gut instinct warned me. Sure enough, my wife informed me that she had to stay there during Christmas because her sisters wanted her to manage the father while they took care of the healing nephew. I expressed my discontent about this, and how I was hurt that my wife made plans to spend Christmas away from her husband and did not jointly find a mutual solution, instead informing me what was going to happen. The pattern is the same each year and has been occurring for 10 years or more of our marriage. The focus more on trips back home than in sharing time together or doing our own trips together. We discussed our differences over this again and again, and nothing gets resolved. I finally told her that our marriage seems to be very bad and we should consider divorce seriously. I do not want to be with someone who is not first most present in our marriage and is instead focused on her sisters and their dysfunctions. Although I feel clear writing this down, I often question whether I am not being flexible or I am being too selfish, etc. I hear that from my wife, who says I should support her in these times of challenge. I am afraid at this point. Being out of work and trying to start a new career and considering divorce at the same time sounds insane to me. Life does throw us curveballs though, and in the end the survivors come out stronger. Do I think things will change with her? No, I wish they would. However, after 10 years of repeat behavior, and with the past few times we almost split up, and yet she continues with these frequent trips, I think it is time to move on, hopefully find someone who is a true partner. This does not feel like a partnership to me. Being alone this Christmas has been hard, however, it has been a good time to reflect on what is real and not real in my marriage. I also wonder if I am making a mountain out of a molehill. My gut instinct says I am not. It is becoming all too familiar. The little bit of vacation time my wife gets off from work she uses to run back home to be with her family out in California. We have been through marriage counseling many times and the results were the same, a lot of denial and defensiveness on her part. Then going through the motions for a while, then forgetting what our mutual agreement was. I am sort of burnt out doing that again, or I have lost hope that things will improve. I should have mentioned that I offered to drive out with my wife so we could spend Christmas together and also help her sister out during this time. My wife did not like this idea and wanted to go alone. Understandably, this may have been because having me along would complicate things. It is not that I am trying to control my wife taking 2 weeks each year to go be with her sisters. I think it is great she is close with them. What I do not like is that we no longer spend any vacation time together, like we used to. It has turned out that all of her vacation time now seems to be focused on her going back home to be with her sisters, and I am not invited along. That seems extremely weird for a partner in marriage to me. The question of what our shared vision is a great one that we have struggled with. My wife does not seem to be interested in future planning together. For example, retirement finances and plans for the house or garden, and things that I wish my partner would be more interested in. We have discussed this in marriage counseling together in the past. This resulted in a short period of going through the motions for a while, a month or two, then that fizzled. That sends a message to me that she is not really interested in a future together with me. We spend approximately 2 hours a day together where we are either taking our dogs for a walk or reading in the same room. We do not have TV. Some weekends we go on hikes together. This is much less time together than earlier in our marriage. We used to ski together, go out to dinner, go see shows. Now our time together is pretty dull. We do not have much conversation together like we used to. I have a lot of resentment built up, and I am sure my wife does too. I find it hard to be affectionate with her since I am very upset at her lack of partnership and taking on some responsibility in our partnership, financial, keeping track of things, planning together. This is an old pattern of mine I have with her, and although I know it is not healthy, I seem to revert back to it when she reneges on agreements made. Instead of discussing things when boundaries are crossed, we both seem to become passive-aggressive or guilt-trip. I tend not to bring up problems or concerns since she has a tendency to get extremely defensive, in a verbally abusive manner. We have tried to work on this together with marriage counselors, and that helped for a while. However, this dynamic is still present. I have so much resentment built up inside me, and I do not talk about it with her, so it builds, and then I shut down affection and attention, immature on my part. My resentment is mostly due to her not respecting agreements on partnership that we worked out in the past. For example, our marriage counselor had to strongly recommend to my wife that she contribute some financial support to our monthly expenses, and that I should not have to ask for that. The pattern has been that my wife will start to do automatic bank transfers, then stop them, without telling me. I find out months later, since I am not on top of the finances as much as I should be. Now that I am not working, this is a more important issue. Her frequent and extended trips back home to see her sisters and father were also an issue that we worked out so that she would balance these trips with some vacation time together. Each year, though, she ends up spending more time away from home, with her sisters, and less time doing vacations together with me. The first 7 years of our 15-year marriage we would go on trips together at least once a month, usually weekend camping trips. Now we never go together. Earlier this year she spent 2 months continuously away, helping her father organize his estate and house, as he is aging. During that time, I noticed on our phone bill that she had been calling old boyfriends. This concerned me since I had no idea what was really going on, and she was away from home and around them. I called her out on this and she did not have much to say. Although she was mad, I brought it up and seemed to be acting guilty. Her phone calls with them ended for 5 months or so. Now I notice them again. It is pretty obvious for me to see these since I get the monthly bills of phone and text messages. I notice that she is frequently texting an ex-boyfriend of her sister, who is unmarried father of my wife's nephew, and the unmarried father of 2 other sons with 2 other women. Reading her needs, makes me really question if now she is having an affair with him, or about to. Should I ask her directly about this now? I will hopefully finish this book today. These problems have been going on for a long time now. I see that my needs are not being met. Lack of partnership, family commitment, lack of openness and honesty, financial support, physical fulfillment. She sleeps in the other room, physical attractiveness, recreational companionship. Looks like the train is already wrecked. This past few weeks things really hit me hard when she announced that she needed to spend time with her sister while her nephew was having surgery. 2. Telling versus discussing together that she was going to go be with her sister during the time of the surgery and come back home on December 24th for Christmas. Fine with me, however, then changing this to be that she needed to be away with her sister over Christmas. 3. Resisting my attempts to try and come be with her and her sisters during this time. I was told that it would complicate things too much by me being there while all the chaos of the surgery and recovery was going on. My wife and I talked about it, and I told her how much it hurt me that my wife chose not to be with her husband over Christmas and that it upset me. After that she started to really backpedal. She bought a little Christmas tree for me to have at home, offered that we celebrate before she left. She apologized for the way that she handled this, and it seemed somewhat genuine, albeit reactive. I told her I was hurt about how things were done and how I felt not included. I think she was feeling very guilty. I am very confused though. My gut instinct is usually right and I tend to act on it. It tells me that she has withdrawn. Her needs were not being met by my poor way of handling the resentment and lack of progress I needed to see. I am now wondering if it is really worthwhile going on with her, or just moving on. My quick reply has turned into a dissertation. My apologies for the diatribe. I appreciate everyone's comments and perspectives. Later today I am meeting alone with our marriage counselor. I am at the point where I think it is time to end my marriage, or at least separate. I am not sure if I should reveal at this point to our counselor if I think my wife is having an affair. I do not have any evidence yet. I am contemplating using some of the methods suggested on this forum to find out more. One thing I know is that my wife's complaints about me are legit. I have withdrawn affection to her and retreated. This has been my response to her continued, over the past 10 years, breaking of agreements, financial and responsibility, and boundaries. The biggest issue for me is that she seems to be more engaged in her sister's lives back at home in another state than here. She would rather spend time away from me than with me. I am sure my withdrawing has helped this, although this has been a continued sore point in our marriage. I am upset because she is not engaged in planning and partnership here. She sleeps in the other bedroom most of the time. We have terrible communication skills, and I am afraid to initiate discussion on important topics with her because she gets extremely defensive and verbally abusive to me. My wife suffers from severe depression. She does not want to talk about it, and she refuses to take medication for it. Our counselor suggested medication because her depression is serious. I know I have done many things wrong, or not in a smart way, by withdrawing. For me, it seemed like my only way to communicate that I was unhappy. If I tried to talk about things with her, it became unsafe. She would get verbally abusive. Without going over a decade of examples. The latest one was when I gently told her that it hurt me to learn that my wife had made plans to be away from me over Christmas for a week, and that when I offered a way to come along that she and her sisters, and probably an unverified lover, found excuses for me not to come. My wife's response was, "Why don't you be a big boy and learn how to spend Christmas alone this year?" Wow. She later said that was a mean thing to say and she was sorry. My gut feeling tells me she is already gone, having an affair, and is feeling guilty and not wanting to hurt me. She says she loves me, however, I doubt she is in love with me. My gut feeling tells me that I should probably move on. However, this is a big step. Should I suggest a separation, or a divorce, or learn more of what exactly is going on? For example, will she admit she is having an affair, if that is indeed the case? Or should I be sneaky and gather more evidence? Friends tell me to just chill out for a bit, do not make any big moves yet, try to find out more evidence regarding her having an affair. If we got divorced now, it would be financially painful for me since I am in between a career change and starting up a new business, living off savings. To me, who I am, it does not feel right to hold off a divorce until the financial timing is right. Although I consider myself a naive idealist. Today at the counselor it was interesting. The counselor did not know a lot about what had been going on and was so surprised they bet me that I am not accurate in my assessment. That was a surprise for me too. Following something like the 180 is good. My earlier plan was to hand out some of the exercises from his needs, her needs, and work them through together. This, however, seems clingy, needy, and sends the message that what you just did is okay. I think that now, tonight when she gets home, I will begin the 180. I have been doing a lot of that for a while, except it has come across as me shunning her and ignoring her too much. Wish me luck and strength. About a year later. Brief history, my wife of 16 years frequently goes out to California to visit her sisters and help with her aging father. At least that is what I am told, and I believe it 99% of the time. There are some possible signals though that she is either having a affair with old boyfriends out there, or is planning on leaving. I realize that going out for a week or two at a time is no big deal, and frankly I like it that she does this. She does suffer from depression though and refuses to take medication. We have been to couples counseling over the years, but no action or work is actually ever done. In the past I have noticed long phone calls with her ex-boyfriends. I asked her about it and she said they were just talking. Nothing else. Fine, I thought. To be clear, she has had 2 50-minute calls to one ex in the past year, and 2 2-minute calls to the other ex in a period of a year. The pattern is that she calls one, and then the other. For all I know, she is probably calling them to ask them if she thinks I am having an affair or to get the POV on something. I am still suspicious. When I called her out on this same behavior a few years ago, in a couples counseling session, she did stop doing it for about 10 months. If it was more frequent, then I would be more concerned. My earlier statement that I think it is fine is not correct. If I take the low frequency and her telling me that they stay in contact as old friends, and that both are married, then I did not get too worked up about it. She just left to go to California to talk to her father about moving into assisted living. She has 2 sisters that live out there. They also suffer from depression, very poor health, and are unemployed. The father pays their way. They are in their mid-50s. Before my wife left on this trip, a new cell phone arrived, unannounced. She said her father got it for her since her old phone was not working well. It is an old iPhone. However, this seemed weird to me, since we have our phones together under one family plan. I asked her to work with me to replace her current phone and also find a better plan. That did not happen, and she briefly stated that she had another solution. I also noticed that just before she left, she was not wearing her wedding ring. This was a first. I frequently do not wear mine since I do water sports, or if I am doing construction work, I take it off. I have been doing both of those the past month, and not wearing my ring. So, on the one hand, who am I to complain? She has also started working out a lot more, and using dental whitening strips, and just got a haircut right before leaving. I am suspicious. I hate doing this, again, however I checked her old phone records and sure enough she was calling her old boyfriends again. One of them for multiple hour-long calls. I am pretty sure she took the new cell phone with her. If she set up a new account, not with my name on it with her, I cannot see who she is calling. Our marriage has been very stagnant lately. I would not be surprised if she left the marriage already. I have thought about it too. However, I would want to work on things a bit more, and surely has a discussion about it. I think she has been wanting to leave for a long time, years, and finally decided to do it. If so, that is probably best for her. Although we really did not discuss issues or try, I feel like I should take some deep breaths, hope for the best, and see how this trip unfolds. She is supposed to be back in 10 days. I did notice she was also packing up some photos of our pets and asked me for a print of our 3 dogs. We just lost one of them and it was sad. We do not have kids. Should I ask her now, while she is out there, if there anything I should know about, since I noticed she left her wedding ring and the new phone is gone and we never switched it out with her existing one? I know these are telltale signs of an affair or problem. New hidden phone, I discovered it, and wedding ring removed. Should I find out more before speaking up? I realize there are all kinds of ways to spy, and I can do that, although deep inside of me I just feel like asking her now, and yet realize she is already being dishonest. So what should I expect from a direct question to her? As much as I would like to move out this feeling of limbo and ask her to know what is going on, naively thinking I might be able to stop things before they get worse, like control something that is out of my control, I think I need to get some more evidence. It sucks to be a spy in Big Brother though. I cannot go out to California due to other commitments at home. She will be home in 6 days and I will gather more evidence and decide whether to finally call it quits or go back to counseling. Does not seem like a good investment at this point. Confused big time right now and also embarrassed this was not dealt with earlier. I started to implement the 180 plan, as best as can be done from afar. Another bad sign, red flag, is that my wife has been very slow to respond to the very few, communications between us. She has been away now for 4 days. I called her once and left a nice, non-needy voicemail. She has not called me once, or responded to the voicemail. I have received a few texts of the flavor, "How are you? Miss you guys, me and our pets." Intentionally I have replied to her communications with the same time delay, or longer, than she has to me. I set up an appointment for later this week with the couples therapist we have seen over the years. The topic of discussion is to put the wheels in motion for a legal separation leading to a divorce if needed. This therapist does this for couples that split and saves a lot of money. I want to get the specifics. I have dealt with attorneys in the past, and the one I saw a few times about a divorce, known locally as a bulldog, did not leave me with a good feeling. She used to be the law partner of my ex-girlfriend who was a divorce attorney. I did not tell my wife, and I am hoping the therapist did not tell my wife we are meeting. I will ask directly. This therapist, who has been helping my wife on and off for many years on my wife's depression, was very adamant that my wife was not having an affair and would be very surprised. We agreed to disagree on this, and also acknowledged that our pattern results in me be very suspicious, not trusting, and a behavioral pattern or cycle has been created, all centered around her trips to California and phone calls to her 2 ex-boyfriends before we were married. The 180 plan makes a lot of sense, and even just yesterday, I felt so much better about myself, super confident, and realizing that I need to think of my needs being met and that I will survive if I divorce her. I am curious as to what the therapist recommends. However, I am skeptical and not interested in really trying yet again to work on things. There are many things I did not do well in our marriage, in particular total withdrawal, since we could not work together on resolving the issues we were having. I, immaturely, used withdrawal, emotionally and physically, to communicate that things were not improving and she was not living up to our agreements, and my withdrawal behavior was me not living up to my agreements. I just gave up, but did not take the next steps. Limbo. Back to the point of the 180. It makes a lot of sense to me, if the motivation of doing it is mainly focused on me and moving on to improve my life. I hope I can really stick to that, instead of hoping it will get her to come running back to me. There is a bit of a paradox with the 180, from my new understanding of it. Is the goal to get a wayward partner to come running back, or is to focus on your priorities independent of the relationship? Maybe a bit of both. Yesterday my wife sent me a couple of texts suggesting future plans for having some fun, swimming lessons together. I have not responded to that yet, and my response, following the 180, will be something along the lines of someday I want to improve my swimming. I think that I am perhaps too far gone from the relationship for the 180. I know that I can find a better and more healthy relationship and that I have been treated very poorly. Leaving her feels like I am abandoning someone I love who suffers depression, but does not work on that, or take the recommended meds. I am rereading some books on being in a relationship with a loved one that has depression. They are helpful. I am reminding myself that we have tried for 16 years and nothing has changed, and I am unhappy, so is she. To me, all signs point to separation at a minimum. The 180 by itself does not seem like it will work long term. My wife did not follow through when I asked her to replace it our current shared plan, that I have access to call records. I do not yet know if this new phone has been activated. My current belief is that she has the new phone with her on her trip. I have searched at home for it. Before she left, I asked her if she had switched the new phone over and follow through with a shared cell phone plan. Her answer was vague and not yet. I think I have another way to set it up. When she gets home this weekend, I need to find that new phone and see if it is activated. That will tell me more. At this point, I do not know if she has the new phone activated. I did tell her that the new phone has to be on our joint plan. Remember too that this new phone is to replace her old phone. We sat down together to go over how to switch from one carrier to another carrier and put the new phone on that new joint family plan. She said she would do this, however, it did not happen. I need to wait a few more days when she comes home and ask her, have you activated the new phone yet? And if she has, then I know what the situation is. For me, the taking off the wedding ring, extra workouts, new haircut, whitening teeth plus new activated phone plus VAR and spy methods equals divorce paper served. 2 years later, until about 2 weeks ago, notice card with long letter in our mailbox from the XBF. I did not open it or read it. Then noticed package from XBF which my wife quickly hid from me when I was looking at new mail on counter. Checked phone calls to XBF and noticed there have been 3 in the past 2 months, after a long period of none. The calls were long, 2 hours. Now today she is telling me she is suddenly thinking about going to a memorial service back in California of a girlfriend that passed away in December 2017. That is true, there is a memorial service this weekend. Strange though how she suddenly wants to go to it. I will be out of town this weekend, so the desire to go and deal with pet sitter is concerning. Checked phone calls tonight after being told about the memorial service in California. 3 calls to the XBF. Okay, so the writing is on the wall IMHO. If it was just the memorial service I would not be concerned, but the card, present, and phone calls. Do I confront her now before the trip? Do I let her go and deal with things when she gets back? Seems like the only reason to confront her now is to stop action before things get any worse. However, it seems like the ship has already sailed in time to divorce. Feel a bit awkward accusing her now though, especially with the memorial service, verified. I did install VAR, however that was 2 years ago and did not find anything of interest. I believe the situation now is different. She is running away, back to the XBF. In the past I do not think she was committed to running off like she is now. I could try to confront her now and just say, look, I realize you and the XBF are back in contact, and I want you to be careful about your decisions and actions. In other words, try to get her to rethink. Or not. My comment, I don't know why all the fooling around. If my wife gets a letter and a gift from an ex-boyfriend, I expect her to tell me about it. If not, I ask about it, and demand to see it. If she refuses to share it with me, then our marriage, as we know it, comes to a screeching halt. For one, I have no desire, none, nada, zero desire, to stay with my if she wants to keep secrets between her and her ex-boyfriend. I love my wife, we have kids, a long marriage, but what would even be the point of fighting it? If she wants him, then she should go be with him. But for me to sit and do nothing and play private detective? No way. I couldn't look myself in the eye in the mirror being so darn pathetic that I have to argue with my wife that she shouldn't keep secrets with another man over me. She is keeping secrets with another man, right? And you act like nothing's going on. What are you afraid of? It just seems kind of obvious to me. The almost definite cheating is almost beside the point. Secrets with another man is already completely unacceptable. Can't continue acting as husband and wife with secrets like that. I saw a letter and a gift from your ex-boyfriend. Why didn't you tell me about it? What was in the letter? What was the gift? Can I see it? If there is any denial or refusal, I have no intention of staying in a marriage where you have secrets with an ex-boyfriend. Period. No ultimatums, no deadlines. You do what you want to do, what you need to do, on your own timeline. But the marriage as you knew it, she ended that, not you. The minute she decided to keep secrets and deny you the truth, she changed the marriage. Your decision is, do you stay in a marriage that she altered to leave you as dupe? OP responds, I have made my decision. I am going to confront her about the situation before she leaves for the memorial service. I can't just sit and wait for things to get worse. I deserve to know what's going on and to have a chance to save our relationship if it's still possible. I'll gather my courage and have a conversation with her tonight. Wish me luck. The conversation didn't go well. She confirmed my fears and told me that she had been talking to her ex-boyfriend and that they had rekindled their relationship. She said that she needed time to figure things out and that she was going to the memorial service to clear her head. I tried to talk to her to understand what had gone wrong in our relationship, but she seemed distant and unwilling to work things out. In the end, we agreed to separate and start the process of divorce. It was a painful and difficult decision, but it felt like the only solution to our problems. I spent the next few days feeling lost and confused, but eventually, I started to pick up the pieces of my life. I sought therapy and started to focus on my own well-being. Looking back, I can see that there were signs that our relationship was in trouble, but I didn't want to believe it. I was so focused on keeping things together that I didn't see what was right in front of me. But now, I know that sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, things just don't work out. And that's okay. It's important to be honest with yourself and to make the best decision for your own happiness and well-being.